Thank you for choosing our Patio Heat channel. I'm Steve. We provide tips and information to extend the enjoyment of your patio project. Our videos give you a knowledgeable overview prior to investing in your outdoor heating equipment. Whether you are a professional or owner builder, we provide specific details for optimum heat coverage for your application. Post a comment or question, or for developed visual designs, send your request into designs@patioheat.com. We're here to work with you. For over 30 years, patio heating is the bedrock of our business, expressing what works best. Now let's get heating. All right, so here we have the standalone patio structure. Let's go right into, first of all, the overall dimensions that I have. So overall dimensions I have from outside edge to outside edge on the post, I have at 23 feet. And then from the outside edge of these, let's see if I can put that on here, sorry about that, from this point here to this point here I have at 17'6", and I'm going to go from the bottom edge of this point to the bottom edge of this point here, and you can see I have the bottom of these beams going across here at 8 feet. And then, of course, the bottom edge of this beam here I have at 11 feet 6 inches, and I think that's pretty much about it. Here you can see I have these two posts outside edge to outside edge at this 11 foot 9 inch, and yeah, so that's pretty much about the size of this patio. Let's go ahead and turn that off and take a look at a couple of possibilities. So one thing that I was told is that there is a steel rod that goes through here for a structural integrity of the building itself, and so I have those. I should probably mark the distance that I have on these as well. So let me turn that dimension back on, and so from the center point, I'm going to try to hit the center point here as closely as I can to the center point that I have here. And again, these are steel, I'll call them steel rods, and I have those at 8 foot center to center. So that would be 4 foot from this point here to this point, and then 4 foot to this point here. Let's see if there's anything else I wanted to mention about them. They were a little bit higher than the center point of this beam, so if I was to tell you what I have on that, let's get this off of here. Sorry about that. Let's go ahead and get that dimension that I have. So I have that at roughly about 2.5 inches. Let's see if I can find the center point here of the structure, and yeah, so 2 3/4 of an inch. And then I should probably also mark up what this height I have here to here, and that is 10 inches in length. So sorry about that. That's pretty much about it as far as the overall dimensions here. So let's go ahead and go back now. I threw some seating positions in here. I'm not sure exactly what that is going to truly look like. I'm assuming that this is going to be casual and this would be dining, but that's just an assumption on my part. That's pretty much about it. There's a counter back here where they're going to have barbecues and facilities to do cooking and things of that nature. So that's pretty much about it. All right, so let's go ahead and look at one option. Now I'm going to go ahead and show both gas and electric options, and with the gas options I see a little bit of an issue. So here you have 2 sun packs on either side, so one here, and then we also have one here. I have them so that they are at the clearance from this beam coming down here, or if they want to call that the joist. So that minimum clearance has to come from this edge here all the way up, and that minimum clearance would be 14 inches with the heater pointed straight down. If you angle the heater in any way, then you have to increase that another 4 more inches. So on an S34 or a TSH, we need that 14-inch minimum with it pointed straight down. But you can see the issue is that I have this rod right here, again, the steel rod, even though it's non-combustible, I wouldn't want to have the heat penetrating that all the time, and that could be an issue. It could cause it to warp or something of that nature, or down the road cause it to fail. So that's one problem I see with placing the heaters like this. And then if I was to possibly, utilize maybe more units, then the other issue I have is this clearance area over here. I would have a lot of overlapping rays if I put 3 units in like this, and the only way I can really do this is if I was to move the outer edge heaters an additional 12 more inches. You need a minimum of 24 inches for these units. So let me go ahead and just move those. I'm actually going to move them 11 3/4 of an inch so that we meet the proper clearance, and I'll move these here 11 3/4. And so now we have the clearances met over here, and we're not hitting that rod, so this would work. But you have a lot of overlapping rays, so you'd probably want what's known as a TSH model, which is a unit that you can adjust the outside temperature, so that the output temperature, and that would be either 34,000 or 25,000 BTUs at any time. And you could do that, with, say, the center ones, set them up at 25,000 BTUs, or vice versa, however it is that you're occupying the space. But you can see that with the 6 units here, we're heating up the entire area very, very well. In fact, this is probably a little bit too much. So let's go ahead and try even maybe even moving these, so that we'll delete these and we'll move these over maybe another 12 inches. And we're just at that edge where that steel beam or rod is. And I'll move these over 12 inches and see how this overall footprint of heat looks. And you can see that it is actually pretty good. And if this is something that would work, we're not heating up that rod in any way. That ray is a light wave. So light is something that, it travels through space, it heats up mass, but it's not going to heat up the air, and the exhaust is not hitting the rod itself. So this would be actually a good application. Utilizing just 4 of the units, we have nice overlapping rays, and or the 6 units that I showed before. So that's the SunPack gas heaters, and that would be something that would work. Now the mounting is going to be something like this, where you're going to take the actual mounting bracket, apply it to the roof or the ceiling top here. And then what I like to do is recommend that you match up the bottom hole of the rod that comes down here, and then mark a new hole here. This is the existing one. Drill this out and then make that a second point where you can actually have the rod coming straight down as opposed to coming at an angle. So, but that would be one option. And another thing, we should go ahead and look at the distances here real quick, just so you can see how far they are apart from each other. And again, moving the heaters from 4 to 6 units, that might be something that this particular client is going to be looking for. But you can see I have them 8 foot center to center. And then as far as what I have right now from center point here, let's see if I can grab it. And so here's the midpoint of the heater to the midpoint of the center one, and you can see I have that at 7 foot and 1/4 of an inch, and this is to verify that that is correct, 7 1/2. So we're 1/4 of an inch off, but I particularly like to have these about 11 feet apart from each other. That's why I'm having a little trouble saying that this is a perfect application versus, you know, having the 4 units. And maybe I should go ahead and pop the 4 units back in here and go ahead and, you know, move these so that they are at the right position. Let's see here. I'm gonna go ahead and just move these over. Let's go 6 inches and see if that is you know, particularly efficient there. And we'll go ahead and move these 6 inches this way, and then we'll go ahead and get and that is still good. It's probably a little further than I like, but let's go ahead and see what that true dimension is. So, oh, we have that, oh, that was the old one there. Let's go ahead and look at the new position here. And let me grab it from up here. As far as the distance from center to center on each unit, they're the same at 8 foot center to center. And here we have them at 12 foot. So yeah, typically I like these at 11 feet center to center, but because of this structural rod here, I'm having a little trouble with that. All right, so that is the gas heaters, and I, you know, truly do like these heaters, so there's nothing wrong with this application other than the coverage right here. But if you're sitting here in this position here, or if you're sitting in this position here, you're going to feel it 100%, and it's going to be just fine. All right, let's go ahead and look at possibly using electric heaters, and those will be the CD series. So what I have is the actually a combination of CD models, and the 2 units on the left here and the 2 units on the right are CD 6024s, and let me turn these distances off here and turn that off there. All right, so yeah, these are CD 6024 6000 watt 240 volts, 25 amps each, and I have them on the ceiling with the mounting bracket attached to. You'd probably have to come up with either, you know, a bracket, or let me go ahead and just draw this up here real quick. You know, come up with something like a 2x6 maybe, that could be attached between these rafter beams. So it'd be something like this, and that would allow, you know, for that mounting, and or, you know, move the heaters so that they are physically on these, but that's going to be an issue with regards to clearances. So it's most likely going to be something like this, or you can get a bracket like this one here, for instance, that is 12 inches, or excuse me, 6 inches longer. That's only if this is only 6 inches in height, maximum height. So if it's 8 inches, then that extended bracket won't work, because you're not going to meet the clearances to combustible materials. So one of those things is going to have to happen in order to mount it like this. And, you know, would I put it on the outer edge? I don't like putting it on the outer edge, and we'll also have I think some issues with doing that. So as far as the coverage, because the coverage isn't going to get you any heat down below the heater itself unless you pointed it straight down, and you can't do that because you won't meet the clearances here. So in any case, this is how I have them, and you can see that, you know, there are rays. If I put a 6000 here in the middle, it would probably make this way too hot, just like I was mentioning on the gas units. So what I did here is I took what is known as a CD 4024 and placed it here in the center, and, you know, lined it up with the other units here. And then, you know, another thing just to remember, by the way, is that, you know, these are infrared light waves, so the infrared light waves are not visible to the human eye. So when I show these rays, you are not going to visually see those rays with a true infrared heater. So, but in any case, you can see that the coverage here is very, very good. Now, if you're standing back here and you had the heater on, these 6,000 watt units would probably be just a little too hot for standing, so you'd probably want either a duplex switch or a control where you can actually dim the units up and down. And then you know, another thing is you may want to just change the angle here slightly, because I can see that, you know, our coverage here in the middle isn't 100%. Let's go ahead and look at sorry for the delay on this, but I'm looking at the overall footprint. We could, you know, move the units up slightly. Let's see if I can grab them all. Let's just go with maybe, we'll go with a roughly maybe 10 inches here, and I'm not really getting that edge, so let's go with maybe 5 inches, and then we'll move these here up 5 inches. And then we'll go ahead and see what that, yeah, so we have a better coverage here with that distance. And then let's go ahead and look at that distance that I have. So what I have here from the center point to the center point on the heater itself is we have that at 8'3". So you can go actually to about 8 foot, you know, maximum center to center, and then you'd get that good coverage here. But I think 8'3" or even 8'6" is fine as well. Now the only other thing I'm gonna need to look at is the fact that when we move them up a little higher, we're spreading out this ray. So that's one thing I'm not 100% appreciative of here. So I would probably put them back where I had them before. So let's go ahead and do that right now. And sorry for that flashing here. Let me go ahead and turn that on. Yeah, I would probably go with this here, and let's go ahead and look at that distance. And the thing that's going to change about that is the distance I moved them was based off of the angle of the rooftop. So yeah, here we have this at 9 feet center to center. I think that's going to be a better option. So you could angle the heaters maybe slightly, maybe just something like, you know, 3 to 5 degrees in towards the center. So let's go ahead and just try like a 3-degree tilt from straight down. And we'll go 3 degrees. And then we'll look at the overlapping rays. You may have to customize your bracket in order to get that accomplished. But yeah, the overlapping rays is much better that way, and we're still getting the outer edge over here. So what I wanted to say is that, you know, this bracket is set up for different angles, and you can see that now we're not quite hitting the proper, whoops, let's go here and try to see. We're not hitting the proper marks of the bracket here, so you might have to drill that out and make your own connection point there. So anyways, I think this is a very good application as well, with the exception of standing over in the backside over here with the heaters on full. That would be the only thing that you'd have to kind of think about. You know, with a control, you can dim, let's say, this one down while you're cooking, and then when you're just relaxing and sitting, then you can place or turn up that heat much more. So I think that's about it. All right, well, I hope this has helped. If you're looking for some assistance with your outdoor heating application and you would like us to review your plans, send your information into designs@patioheat.com. I'm Steve, and please tap that like button if you find this video useful. We don't advertise, not monetize. YouTube does not support our channel unless we receive a thumbs up from our viewers. And we also appreciate any comments or questions that you might have, so please put those down below as well. Thank you very much. Have an excellent day.